Oh man, um, I have been putting so much time prepping and getting ready for this particular stream. Today is Canada Day. Woo! Or if you're watching on YouTube, it was Canada Day when I did this. Anyway, there are oh, 34, 30. I've got the exact number. I'm bad at counting. The important thing is, starting in the late 70s, Brazil passed a law, like right after Pele retired. They said, oh, yeah, and by the way, we're not importing electronics from other countries anymore. You've got to use everything sourced locally. Which obviously, gives some protection to the country and yada, yada, yada. But for us, pinheads, people who enjoy pinball and the arcades and the growth of the arcade scene, that meant they couldn't import pinball machines into Brazil. They had to make them in Brazil with Brazilian sourced parts. It's kind of interesting. There's like Volkswagen has some unique models to Brazil that were only made because of these laws, and for the same reason, we have some unique pinball machines. Now they're not 100% unique because they pretty much blatantly ripped off designs of other popular pinball machines, and that's really what this special is all about. I'm going to be sharing the history of these games, not so much the history, because that would be days worth of stuff. There's a ton. If you're willing to live through Google Translate, or if you speak Portuguese, there are some phenomenal resources out there. So start with be aware that I'm just touching the tip of the iceberg here. I'm basically just showing what the games are that were made and a couple of pointers and tips. And this is really why I love visual pinball, because visual pinball lets me play games I would otherwise have no chance of playing. So here, I'm actually starting with Criterium 75. This is the only one that I couldn't get the backglass display to work properly. But it's not even a Brazilian pinball machine. This one is Spanish. You can see Potato, SA. So this is from Recel, Recel. You can see it up in the back. Can you see it? Yeah, it's in the upper left-hand corner there. And this is an electromechanical game. It's a pretty fun little game. Let's drop some quarters in there, and we'll play this real quickly. There's the ball. So it's got neat sequential lights happening up above, and it's actually a pretty fun game from 1975. Now, this was originally created before the law changed, but oh, come on, I've got it in my notes. What's the name? Abraham or Abba Kogan. He's really the hero of the story, if you would. He's a Russian immigrant who was raised in China, immigrated to Japan, and got a job with Taito. And they said, "Yeah, go do things in Brazil." And so here this globe-trotting adventurer goes, and he was instrumental. I think it was 1972 is when he set up shop and started importing and manufacturing and doing final touches, but got the connections he needed to make things happen. So from 72 through to 78, Taito Brazil, formerly, I've got my notes. My notes say they were originally the Clover Electronic Amusements. And they mostly imported other games from outside of the country and would rebuild them. But, arcades were pretty big business. They made a lot of money there. And he was looking at his inventory here and saw this game, Criterium 75. And said, okay, so we have to use Brazilian electronics. Look, what can we do to make this game happen in Brazil? Because we want people to play this. We got buyers lined up to ready to purchase this. So I'm gonna bail out of the game. 2 years later, they made Criterium 77. Now I'm gonna let you know my dates. I was only able to find concrete release years for the games. So as I'm going through the list here, games will be grouped by year, which I'm fairly confident in, but not by when the order they came out within the year. Anyhow, Criterium 77, check it out. The artwork, everything about this is almost identical to Criterium 75, with the exception of solid state electronics. So they basically recoded the whole game using Brazilian, Taito electronics. And the gameplay actually changes a little bit. You see how those rollovers up there, the game could respond a little faster and weren't restricted by the lack of a buffer that an electromechanical has. So, anyway, this game is really probably the closest of all the clones they did, because this is where they started and they were learning things. But you'll notice that they changed the artwork up in the corner of the back glass. So, they erased the logo. But for the most part, it's the same thing. They copied the art straight up. And if you want some real fun, there is it's like a 3-hour long Taito Brazil special. And it's all in Portuguese, but it's interviews with the people that made these games. And the guy who made the back glasses is a hoot. He is so proud of the work he did and what he had to work with, and some of the designs and the choices that he had to make. Honestly, that special alone, if you're interested in more about Taito Brazil, I'll try to post a link to that later, because that really is phenomenal. But yeah, so Criterium 77. So the next two games were also based on Italian games from Recel. And I'm not going to bother showing the originals. I'm just going to go straight to the Brazilian games, just to show what we've got. So we got Checkmate. And Checkmate, beat for beat, is pretty much a solid state version of Recel's Checkmate from the same time. I was looking. Nobody has done a reproduction of this yet, but this is a fun game. So anyway, again, if you think back to the 70s, 1975 was where this playfield layout was created, and the artwork was done, and the basic rule set was invented. And all that was done in Spain by Recel, or Recel, I don't know, Recel. And then, Abba Kogan and his team brought us Checkmate, which is pretty cool. Honestly, it's not a bad game. Obviously I'll keep playing it, but other than historical significance, doesn't get too much play for me. You're like, okay, Joe, get on to the fun stuff. We want to see the games we're familiar with. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll get there. So, I can't just dump a pinball game. That's the problem. I love to play these things, even the ones that aren't my favorites. And this is really a fun little target shooter. Practice your, just work all the drops. Advance the bonus. It's actually a pretty decent game. They knew what they were picking back then. But I've got a lot of pinball to play today, so I'm not going to spend too much time on any one of them. Okay, so next up is number 4. What is number 4? Oh, wait, I made slides. So that was Checkmate. And here's Roman Victory, which Recel's version of the game is called Fair Fight. I found photos of it. Too lazy to go through and put up photos for the game. But anyway, this one showed that they were into making unique art. So Roman Victory, solid state game. So solid state game based on a 2-year-old electromechanical game. I do like how the match works. If you look in the back glass, you'll see the little spinning clock thing. You're like, Joe, why does that exist? And most people are familiar with how you get a match at the end of a pinball game where you can get a free game. Well, in this case, when the game ends, if that spinning wheel matches the tens column of your score, you'd get a free game. This game in particular has a really neat feature. I'm going to see if I can not suck and actually make what's a pretty basic shot. So here, I'm going to shoot up the middle. And you see how that target kind of stuck after I hit it. And then the left target is down. Come on, I can hit 2 targets. It's not that hard to do. Oh man, I'm getting all the other targets. This is probably good for score. Couldn't do it. Does it reset? I hope it doesn't reset. Nope, it resets. Okay. I'm going to hit it though, because you can see right in the middle, this has got this really cool... Oh man. Anyway, in the middle there, oh, that's right, 5 balls. That's the other thing. It was very common for all of the Taito Brasil games. Oh, come on, that should have been good. To be left at 5-ball play. They, of course, in the code you could change it back to 3-ball. But given the era and how hard and unforgiving these games were, 5 balls was far more common. There we go. So you see how I hit the left target and now it's pushed it the right one forward. There we go. That's what I wanted to show. Okay. What did I do? Huh. That was not the plan. Let's get back here. Hold on a second. Okay, so Roman Victory, based on Recel's Fair Fight. So we're done with Spain for a while. We'll touch base on them later. But coming up next is our first U.S. game. And we've got Ed Krynski's Fast Draw. 4-player, still an electromechanical game. also from 1975, so they're a few years late. This actually was not released until 3 years later, so set in 1978. So the original Fast Draw here, and we'll make sure we take a good look at this because this is a classic game. I've played this in a number of tournaments, and oh, that's right, the plunger's not connected in this code. But Ed Krynski was a genius, and this is one of his legacy games. Of course, it's brutal, but it's got all the quirks of a electromechanical game, where if you knock down too many drop targets, you're not going to get the score for it. So while it's scoring, it doesn't score more points. But it's got this fun thing where it kicks the ball back and forth, and it can actually stay up there for a while, building points. But what I like is the up-close drop targets, where the center target has that extra bonus if you manage to light it. There we go. So you get all the letters down, it lights your extra ball. And I'm going to be pointing out rules to games, because with the Taito Brazil games, they did take license with the rules, often making the game better in a lot of ways. Or I should say, more attractive to the casual player. Oh, I almost had that. I'm going a little bit too late. I want to finish those drops. Oh, come on. It's fine. I can get specials now. More extra balls. But what I want to hit is that one. There we go. I got it. So you can see now the center target has, of course, I light them. I get the one target up. 5,000 points. Anyway, 1975 Gottlieb EM by Ed Krynski. Fast Draw. Great game. So anyway, at this point, I don't know the logic behind it, but I do know that Taito Brazil was making effort to make original art for the games. We saw it first with the Roman victory, and so now for Fast Draw, they created arguably the most offensive pinball game I think I've ever seen, Apache. Yeah, it's funny. The girl hanging from the ropes does not look worried. That looks like she's having a good time. But wow, what a dated design this is. 1978, and they thought that's the way to go. So let's play a little bit. We're gonna see how some of the rule differences go. So obviously the artwork is all different. There's not even a point in showing subtle differences. It's an entirely different theme. But there's my 3 rollovers up at the top. Oh, there's my instant drain. The different target in the middle. But it's, instead of being electromechanical, solid state. And so right now we can add bonus to the drops. Let me work some drops. See if I can clear those bad boys. Or not. Let's do it. I can do this. Not too worried about the center ones right now because they weren't lit. This is a really nice reproduction of the game. Getting to play it. There's my... I forget if this gives an extra ball or... this one actually doubles the bonus rather than giving an extra ball, which makes it better for tournament play, actually. So it gives players incentive to finish the ABC so that they can get the double bonus. Whereas in a tournament, a lot of tournaments will only give you one flip for an extra ball. But did not finish. And as I said, there's a lot of games in the list. So, but I really do want to show what other difference there is here. And to do that, I need to finish the drops. Nice. Okay. I can't think of how many times I've been able to... I usually finish all the drops more easily than the rollovers, but it looks like I'm having a rollover kind of day. Oh, I hit it. And I've absolutely had drop targets not fall one hit them in real life as well. That one's giving me a hard time. There we go. One to go. Oh, I thought I could get on the backhand. One shy. A lot of bonus. A lot of score. Yeah, I'm not going to chase after it. But anyway, you can see Apache. So let's jump ahead. They've got the taste of Gottlieb games now. And Ed Krynski. Hard to beat that. So, from Fast Draw, we're going to jump ahead. Oh, come on, I've got... Actually, we're going back in time. 1973. We have Hot Shot. I love this game. This is actually... it's funny because... I've got it here on Visual Pinball. This is a great reproduction. For the longest time, I didn't have access to an arcade. And the only video game emulation that I was aware of was the Pinball Arcade. And they had the rights to this and did actually a pretty decent reproduction of the game. I spent a lot of time playing the Pinball Arcade version of this. Look, they even got the right sounds for the mechanicals going on. If I could get the 8-ball. But anyway, this is really a classic pool shooter. The goal is just work all the targets and then you wrap up with the 8-ball, open the gate, and keep going. I've spent many hours playing this game. It is fantastic. But let's see, what did Taito Brasil do with it? Again, remember they're really focused on new artwork, differentiating the games. Again, here we have a solid state update. Granted, this is 5 years after the game was released. So the original game was released in 1973. Lucky Strike is made by Taito in 78. Artwork is actually, it looks more like 60s artwork when I look at the body shape of things. And instead of pool, Lucky Strike is billiards. So this one's kind of the first one that stands out because not only did they change the artwork, but they've changed some of the game design. You see the number 8 is still up there, but now there's 5 lanes instead of 3. So that's kind of cool. They've made a little bit. Oh man, I am not playing well. So they've expanded on the gameplay. You get the benefits that come with a solid state system, plus I will say that having the ball roll past the side at the beginning was frustrating. So now Taito says, yeah, have another lane to roll over on each side. Now, I don't think I've ever played any bowling game with 15 pins. I don't know if there's a Brazilian bowling version. I mean, looking at the back glass, that looks like standard 10 pin. I did go looking, and it was absent, so there was nothing that said 10 pin. But even if you look at the design here, the bowling ball has the 8 on it, and it's black. So I mean, very obviously they're like, yeah, this is a pool game, but we're gonna play it as if it's bowling, because at this point they're still concerned about getting in trouble. The thing is, nobody was showing up to, nobody said boo about this stuff. This is the 70s. How many executives from Chicago ever made it down to Brazil to check out the pinball scene down there? I mean, who would have thought of it, right? I actually think this plays better than the Hot Shot did. But it's undoubtedly Ed Krynski's layout. And it really should be a billiards game. So, Lucky Strike. Let's jump ahead. Now, this one is actually the game that made me really aware of Brazilian pinball games. I had seen some reproductions from J.P. Salas in the pinball community before this, but this is the first one that really stood out to me. So first I'm going to play Sinbad. And this is a cool reproduction. It's got the playfield is worn. I love this reproduction in particular. And this is a fun game. If you ever get a chance to play the real one, the scissor flippers, last time I played in a tournament, I absolutely lost trying to trap with the lower flipper, which is just, yeah, there's not a lot of scissor flipper games. But other than that, the rules are pretty straightforward. It's like, hey, knock down the targets. Each bank of targets will light a rollover at the top. Nice spinner there in the middle. And there's the scissors I was talking about. Right up. If I'd left the flippers down, I would still be in play. So this is Gottlieb's Sinbad. This came out in 1978. So now Taito has to be right on the ball. They rushed and they played it. They said, wow, that's a lot of fun. But we hate the scissor flippers. So they took it. Artwork is almost identical. You can see the artwork's all very similar here. But now our outlanes are more traditional that we're used to, with the two outlanes and then the slings. and then 2 standard flippers. Other than that, this is pretty much beat for beat the same game as the original from Gottlieb. I mean, sure, it's solid state. But the artwork is almost identical. Sure, we've rebranded things with Taito, but if I were to jump back and look at like the apron art is the same apron art. The back glass is pretty much the same back glass. So, oh come on, I have to play a little bit better than that. Okay, so let's do some drops. I will point out that I checked this online, so the spinner is a little smaller on this than the Gottlieb spinner. There we go. See, I can work drop targets. Hey. I don't know which is more frustrating, going out through in between the 2 flippers, or just playing this poorly. So I don't think with either game. I mean, the goal here really is to finish your drops and then start rolling over those top lanes. So there's my. And then if I send it up. Now, I also noticed in the back glass that spinning match meter is gone. I actually like that in the other games. Okay. So anyway, Sultan versus Sinbad. Very, very similar, but major difference in it that really affects the gameplay significantly. And this is the highlight of the whole reason why I'm going through this and showing these games. I don't think most people are aware of this Brazilian pinball experience and the slight changes that you get from game to game. Now, so I'm gonna. So our first Bally game, Jim Patla's classic Playboy, one of the early solid state games from Bally. And this one's been reworked with pink LEDs, which, yep, I've definitely seen these customized in the real life. But, yeah, we've got our digital sounds. We've got the row of drop targets there on the right. We've got the 4 rollovers at the top for the keys. We have our playmates on the left-hand side. Okay. It's worth some points. So the objective there with the playmates is to get all, was it 5? Yeah, 5 of them all lit up. And the other thing you want to do is get that other alley on the right lit, and then if you can hit it right, it will go all the way around into the grotto. But it's not lit right now. So anyway, I'm sure people have seen Bally's Playboy before. not going to spend too much time on that because Brazil's answer is a lot of fun. This is apparently one of the, when you think of 70s Brazilian party life, this is the disco. This is 1978. Oba Oba was the big cabaret, and again, you've got your ladies. So a lot of it's carried right over from the gameplay for Playboy. I mean, you got the keys in the lanes, so it's like, okay, yeah, we're gonna copy those keys. I guess that makes you a locksmith. But and it's not even like they changed whether you light something up or turn a light off. It's once again, you want to change the color or change the lights or light up the ladies. Get your points por mulata. I miss that cheesy do 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 do, but the actual gameplay sounds I prefer here. And I'm also, I mean, just like Hugh Hefner is the center of Playboy. I don't know this guy's name. I could make something up, but that'd be wrong. You can see how his face is front and center. You got him in the apron art at the top. Each rollover lane is his face. The bumper caps or the pop bumpers have his face on them, even in the center of the field. So whereas Playboy builds its brand around the classic rabbit, Oba Oba here is all about the owner or whoever this figure is. I should figure that out. But anyway, basically this is just a rethemed Playboy with no changes. So let's move ahead. So next up is Lady Luck, which everybody's like, wait a second, that's not Lady Luck. Lady Luck is a 1986 game from Bally. Well, it is. But before that, in 1976, Recel released this Lady Luck. And it's got some kind of neat things going on with it. In particular, I love the rollovers that you have to light up in order. Oh, that's right. This one does not have the plunger hooked up. So you notice, okay, you have to roll over those in order. So that ace is, okay, so I've actually got them all except for the ace now. And one of the things I find interesting with this is that you've got solid state internals in the game, but it's still used electromechanical reels at this point. That was a thing that Recel did. Recel? I should know how to pronounce that. But anyway, so this is another Spanish game, and it's actually a really fun game. This is one I have never seen this in the flesh, but I have put in a fair amount of time playing this game virtually, and that's one of the things I love. Let me hit that target. I absolutely love about these recreations. Why is there a bar in front of that? Shouldn't be a bar, should it? Okay, there. So I've lit up through the ace. And I'm trying to hit the captive ball, but it wasn't having anything with it. That's okay. So I will say this next game is, so Recel makes this game. It makes a Lady Luck in 1976. 1978, we get Taito Japan, or Taito Brazil. Oy. And they turned Lady Luck into Space Patrol. And I love the 50 style rocket art. The playfield and the backlash look like they were done by different art teams entirely. I don't know if they copied off of magazines or what they did, but you'll see that you got the same 5 rollovers there. This time they spell space instead of being the face cards. There's my first one. There. Oh, look at that. I let them all up nice in a row. And I hit my target. So, gameplay. So the layout of this is exactly the same, but the gameplay is actually a little bit different. So space in this game lights up the corresponding targets on the right-hand side, whereas in Lady Luck, the rollovers advance the bonus for the captive ball. So to advance the bonus with the captive ball in this game, it's your rollovers. So there's a combination of rule changes and so you got your rule changes as well as a pretty significant artwork, but the playfield is almost identical. I haven't seen any differences in the actual playfield layout, other than the fact that this captive ball works better than the other one. But I think that's more an artifact of virtual pinball than the real thing. So anyway, that's Space Patrol. And again, we got our spinning match counter in the back. So there, 70, I only got 50. Nothing for me. Okay, so what's our next? Oh, so we are ready for a classic. Gorgar. Barry Oursler, 1979. One of the first talking games, solid state goodness. So we're moving up into 79 here. And oh man, I can remember hearing this guy call out to me from across the arcade. That pulsing sound. This is truly an iconic game from the era. And I mean, who could blame the folks in Brazil wanting to play such an awesome game? But of course they can't get it. So what do? Well, I tell you what they're going to do. And I'm fast forwarding. We should all be familiar with Gorgar at this point. If you're tuned in here, you should know Gorgar. And then you can say, well, what's Drakor? It's like Drakor is Gorgar's Brazilian cousin. I honestly haven't seen any visual differences. And the artwork looks like it's copied directly. Sure, you get the... I will say some of these are wax releases, some are not. You can actually see it in the gameplay when it's a wax release. But yeah, good for mentioning. I should be giving more credit. Like, I don't know if you can see how bouncy and super ball like this this pinball is. This is definitely not a wax release. I don't know that Wax bothered with Drakor, because if you want to play this, it really is Gorgar, but with Brazilian electronics for sounds. I mean, the magnet in the pit is the same. The bonuses are the same. This is one of those ones where it's like the folks in Brazil did not get the good pleasure to hear Gorgar calling out. But, you know, they got to play it. You'll notice that you can't change the lanes just like you couldn't in Gorgar. Oh, come on. I have yet to get a good spinner rip on that. I got one more. There we go. I got all three, and you can see that gives me my 2 times. So it's the exact same bonus multiplier method as Gorgar. And the sound. Oh. Anyhow, that is... Oh, that's right. It's Brazilian. 5 balls is the standard. Go up to the pit. I'm going to spell Drakor here, because that... Just need that R, and I've got them all spelled up. I keep hitting the pit. That R has always been... in Gorgar, it was the O. But it was always a hard shot for me. What's fun is when you could rip those, you get the whole line in one rip for all the drops. That is actually harder to do in digital pinball than it is in real life. Hey, there we go. This time I got the advance on it. You can see I've got the spinner lit. And honestly, when you get the spinner lit, you should be working that spinner, because that is some juicy points. Look at those flashing green eyes. Okay, bring it here. Let's see if I can hit the spinner. I finish an advance. My bonus multiplier as well. Nice. So it's actually funny looking at the artwork for this. I confirmed looking online. There's less detail than the Gorgar art. The lines are a little heavier. The smooth areas are more smooth. Somebody obviously was working from a copy. And anyway, they came up with a pretty good copy. And I should remember. Actually, I'm going to do this real quickly. I'm going to fire it up one time. And I'm going to hit this. When you quit a game, it brings up details about the game. And I've been hitting it pretty fast, so you don't get to see things. But I'm going to definitely bring some attention to this real quickly. JP Salas. All of the Taito Brazil games are his digital creations. This is his thank you list. So he's thanking Carlos Guizo and Tio Atalo for the source images for this. Carlos Guizo is a Brazilian who has an amazing collection. You can see his stuff online, and he's shared his images of his games with JP Salas to help preserve and share these awesome machines that we might not otherwise get to see. So I will endeavor to slow down and share the thank yous, because this is all volunteer work for these reproductions, and I am grateful for having the chance to play them all. So, Williams World Cup 1978, and this is by Edward Tomaszewski. I actually don't know him as a creator. I think I've played this game once in real life. Not one that I'm hugely familiar with. But you can see how the rollovers come on, get in there. There we go. So this is an amazing soccer-themed game. I should rip that spinner, because it's one thing that does make it challenging is you can't really trap up. You can do a live catch kind of, but if it goes backwards at all, it's going to get caught in those saucers that'll shoot back out again. There we go. But those are a key element of this game. And I want to see if I can get the ball back up to the top and hit those rollovers to finish my star. And I do believe those slings are supposed to hit the goal, or at least come close to it. Like that. There you go. So, solid state game. It carries through your lit balls, your lit lanes to the next ball. So anyway, this is Williams World Cup. Pretty good game from Edward Tomaszewski. And again, I'm so used to hitting that fast, I absolutely did not get to see the thank you page. Anyway, Brazil's like, I don't know if they were worried about the who is it that's in charge of the FIFA. So the FIFA is the organization, and again, this is right after Pele had retired. So they released the game just as football. Again, you notice the same two lanes there are lit. Let's get that up there. But we've got Brazilian sounds. And I actually prefer these star rollovers, the button style that was used in the original Williams game. Those Williams button rollovers, there's something about the stars that just, the ball travels better over them. But other than like simple mechanical changes, this is pretty much the same game again. And you know, who can fail them for loving the football theme? I think I actually prefer the sounds from World Cup more than the Brazilian ones in this instance. But yeah, so Williams' World Cup becomes Taito's football. And there's our thank you. Again, you can see this one at the top is by J.P. Salas. This was a revision from May, so this is a fairly recent release. And one thing I'll point out, this is actually why I like coming back in here. So this is based on the original ROM to the best visibility. They weren't able to get an extraction of the ROM for the game, so most of the virtual pinball solid state games are using the actual ROMs. This one is using JP Salas's code based on how he's seen the game play, which is, again, amazing effort from somebody to voluntarily just create this stuff. We owe a lot in the hobby to people like JP Salas, Carlos Guizo, Kulik, and you can see Fuzzle's got his playfield mesh. This playfield is gorgeous, by the way, as a reproduction. Stat made the back glass. So anyway, it's a lot of people working so that we can enjoy virtual pinball, and I'm good with that. I like it, and I try to contribute and give credit where I can. So let's move forward again. 8-Ball, George Christian's 8-Ball. Man, I have seen this in so many collections. This is a great game. You can tell they wanted to do Happy Days. They were like, hey, we want to do Happy Days. I think it'd make a great pinball. We can make it pool themed. We'll have Fonzie and Pinky, and there's Ralph in the back, and Potsy. You know, it's like, oh yeah, you know, this is going to be. But, hey. Yeah, and with Happy Days' popularity as well. Oh, come on. You can see why this was such a popular game. I'm just going to double check. 8-Ball 77. Oh, and the kickback doesn't work. Anyway, that's not too far from how the real game plays for me. So let's take a look. We got on the playfield, there's Pinky in the artwork there, Fonzie up there, and again Pinky, Fonzie on the left, Pinky on the right. Flip it around up. I'm not going to spend too much time here. Oh, and again, I'm going too fast. But it's fun to see these comparisons. So again, Fonzie's there, Pinky's there. I think the color differences are really just the art. And you can hear the electronic chimes. The one really big difference in the artwork in the back glass that I think you should notice is behind Fonzie, they're playing Space Invaders and Escape, and those are Taito video games. So they kind of slid in a little ad for the Taito video games, and Space Invaders really is what launched the arcade in Japan. So much like a lot of people here think about Pac-Man, in Japan, Space Invaders, whole arcades were dedicated to Space Invaders. But you know, there's Ralph and Potsy in the background still, and as far as the gameplay goes, this is just as unforgiving. Oh, come on. There we go. I mean, these rules are almost identical, if not exactly identical. I haven't seen any differences. So really what you get difference-wise is little details in the back glass. Oh, and you have to light the kickback. It's not automatically lit. And the coating on this plunger is shaking the machine as it plunges. Oh, come on. Hey, kickback worked. And just like real life, if you send it up through there too fast, you don't get credit for it. That's one of the things. I've played this game a lot, where people have reworked it with brand new flipper coils and LEDs and all the other things. And if the flippers are too powerful, the ball will actually kind of levitate above the rollover at the back of that scoop. So you make the shot super clean, but you don't get any points for it. Oh, come on. Why is this giving me grief? Get up there. Everybody here has seen 8-ball, which in Brazil is now hot ball. So what's next, Joe? Oh, man, these are cool. I didn't know there was so many different games. Well, let me tell you. 1977, Steve Kirk releases Meteor to coincide with the movie. I like to point out, I think, did I even make a note about that? Yeah. So Steve Kirk liked to number his games when he could. So if you look at the back glass in the lower right-hand corner, actually, can I do this here? Yeah. So if I point right there, okay. So if I point right there, you see it says SK5 on the rocket. So that means this was Steve Kirk's 5th game. Trivia. I like trivia. I like the fact that it's captured in this game. Why are you making this horrible noise? Okay. Oh, yeah, that's right. The game, I remember hating this originally in the arcade because the drone gets higher and higher pitched the more you advance the game. And my buddy was going to buy one of these. I'm kind of glad he didn't because, honestly, the sound drives me crazy. And again, I shut it down too. I'm going to do this. No, I'm not. I was going to show the people who worked on that game. But just real quickly, we can see the Brazilian version. And look, it's Meteor. The artwork is a little bit different. You'll notice the SK5 is still on the rocket. So they included that. And they must have heard me complain about that droning sound. So they downplayed that a lot. But they left the Kirk post for me. And for people who don't know, that center post in the pinball machine is referred to as a Kirk post because Steve Kirk, the designer of this playfield layout, advocated for longer playtime for players. And so he included, you can see the center post in just about every one of his games. And I know people who just like, yep, we'll take that out, make the game a little harder. Personally, I can't see why somebody would want to play this game longer. It's kind of funny because often bad movies make for great pinball. In this case, it was just a bad movie that made for bad pinball. So I'm not gonna. That's enough time on Meteor. So next up, we have our first Steve Ritchie game. Not to be the last. 1978. This is one of the top-selling pinball machines of all time, actually. And Flash. It's a hard not to love this game. I always thought that the shading reminds me of the comic book artist Stephen Bissetti's work. Especially what he did with Swamp Thing. It's got kind of like a horror vibe to it almost. But this definitely has that Steve Ritchie flow to it. Even when the ball does hit something that stops it, it's not stopped for very long. Oh, and that flasher. I'm trying to remember. I think this was the first game to have a flasher in the playfield, which is part of what made this really stand out in the arcade. You got the super speedy game, the Steve Ritchie flow, plus this bright flash of light whenever you finish a row of drop targets. Oh, come on. I can do that. I only need one more rollover, and then I get my bonus. I'm willing to bet it was probably while making this game that Steve Ritchie says, could we make it so you can change the lanes? Because it's really too hard to finish these. There we go. We got all four of them. Those are not easy drops to finish. So thunder, lightning, tempest. I'm only up to lightning. I don't have the tempest yet. This is actually probably one of the best games of this I've ever played. It's a gorgeous reproduction. There we go. Now I got the Tempest. Oh, look at that super flash. Nice. Okay, so this is Williams' Flash. Let's take a look at the notes. So this is another J.P. Salas game. Again, the man is a machine. I can't even think how many virtual pinball reproductions he's created for us to play. So it's interesting. He's dedicated this to his friend Leo. You can see some updates. And this is actually a fairly old release from 2016. But plays beautifully. Probably Wax physics. I wish Wax would add to that, like, hey, I did the graph physics on this, or I adjusted the plastics, but he doesn't really take much credit for his work. There we go. Oh, you know what? I'm jumping the gun here. We have to look at the Taito version of that. So they didn't do Flash. They did Shock. They have the Flasher, which is really cool. So they preserved that. Playfield is pretty much identical. There's obviously the difference in the title. But, the same plastics. Same playfield artwork. Well, I will say that there's the obvious language difference. Actually, they didn't even really change the language, did they? I'm so used to these Brazilian games having language changes, but this one, Lit Target Score 3000, that's English. Yeah. And even on the back glass, 1 to 4 can play at the same time. Huh. I'll have to check the resources. So, I also have to admit, I'm fortunate that one of my friends is actually an immigrant from Brazil. And he was able to help me with doing some of the research. Thanks for stopping in. So anyway, I loved being able to get some guidance doing the research for this. And realistically, this should be like a Netflix special or something. People, a full documentary on how crazy Brazil was back in the 70s and the 80s. Yeah, because Marco kept telling me about all the he calls it the Brazilian way. We call it piracy here, but the Brazilian way of doing things. And I think they were just working with what they had available and what they wanted to experience. They weren't allowed to bring in Williams games, so they made them themselves. Love to find out what Steve Ritchie thinks of this. Because I don't think he made extra based on the sales of the game. It's just whatever. The fact that the games he made were popular meant that he got paid more for his future games. I think. I'm sitting here making up the pay scale for how they did pinball, and I honestly don't know. So I just know that work for hire was common back then. And I don't believe he was an owner in the company, so it's likely. Anyway, next game. So, JP Salas again, Carlos Guizo again. So a lot of the familiar names are going to show up with these Taito games. Let's see what we have next. So next up, did I skip one? Nope, I didn't. I did. I'm going to back up. This one throws me off because when I was putting this together, the artwork, I didn't create the artwork for any of the circles there for the games. So the logo is Skateball. That artwork I've got for Skateball doesn't suit it. It's what I got. I could have gone looking for more or even made my own, but that's what I have. Skateball's classic. And if you listen to podcasts, every time I see Skateball, I think of Orbital Al. And the Pinball Nerds. So this is a shout out to the Pinball Nerds podcast. And I remember seeing Al. The reason I think of it is because I was at a party once and Al was dressed up as the skateboarder from this back glass. But it's got that fun little flip. There's 3 targets up there. And this little flipper just kind of adds to it. And I will say that I believe Al's copy of Skateball then went to Mike Dimas of the Pinball Shenanigans podcast. Or as it is, I guess it's YouTube channel now. And then he sold it to my buddy Sean. But Skateball is just a really fun game. Who did this? Claude Fernandez, 1980. And if we look, it's another J.P. Salas game. But so J.P. Salas redrew the artwork so that we could have this reproduction to play. That's amazing. But in Brazil, for whatever reason, they didn't want to do Skateball. And it makes sense. One of the popular sports there is rally racing. So they took the rally racing theme, and they deleted the flipper from the upper left-hand corner. And we've got this beautiful Taito Brazil soundboard. Oh. But, if you look at it, and aside from the flipper missing, this is pretty much the same layout as Skateball. And I'm also going to say I am a big fan of the cars they've chosen for the artwork on this game. Right up front, in the center, in the middle of the playfield, and also on the back glass, you've got a Lancia, one of the most winning companies of all time. And then further up the playfield, right behind them, is a little Alfa Romeo Giulia. And I'm particularly fond of that because when I was a kid, my dad had one, and he took me on the road rallies with him. They were timed rallies, not the high energy ones putting me at risk or anything. But listen to that motor sound. So it's funny. I'll often say I like one better than another, but honestly, the cheese of Skateball and my love of cars kind of balance each other out. I love both of these games. I think I actually prefer playing this one. That flipper up there has always caused me grief. So... But yeah, so Skateball became Rally. Kind of cool. And again, looking at the top, that's J.P. Salas. This is version 103. He started in 2017 on this. Really, really fun. Oh, and he even makes a note here that this is almost the same layout as Skateball. Cool. What do we have next, Joe? Matahari. And by the way, this is going to be a long special. There's a lot of these. And so Matahari is a Jim Patla game. Bally, 1977. Did I just launch the same game again? What a knob. Come on, Joe. You can do better. Matahari. Please. There we go. So Matahari was what year? 1977 is the original release of this. And I love the chimes. Now, it's interesting to me because in the back glass there are two versions that you'll find in the wild. So the one here has the German phrase. This is bad. I just remember it's a Nazi phrase, and like halfway through the production run, they were like, "Take that off. That's not good." So only the first run of the pinball machines had the German on the dagger. And you'll see when we move ahead. So anyway, this one is kind of... so the gameplay here, I'm going to point out one of the big differences that I'm aware of. So with Mata Hari, basically you want to keep working the A and the B. And in this case, the B and the A are linked. So you can either get it from the rollover or you can get it from the orbits. There we go. It's funny, I was playing this earlier and I was just like, yep, there's the orbit, and I've lost my timing. Anyway, the important thing to note is that on this, A and B are linked right and left. So now when... you know what? I'm going to do this one more time. So I'm starting the game just so I can shut it down. And this one here, I think it's important to note, this is not a J.P. Salas recreation. This one's done by somebody with the screen name of All Knowing 2012. I don't know him as a creator that much. But anyway, not a lot in the notes. So let's see what Mata Hari becomes. So Mata Hari, now they mirror the direction and call it Vegas. She still has the dagger. Notice there's no writing on it. The tiger's still there. So it's pretty much the same artwork, but the back glass is mirrored. And instead of the chimes, we've got Taito electronics for the sounds. And I'm going to point out that you're trying to spell lady, and you have to spell it in order. So it's Mata Hari was actually an easier game because of that. This one's playing easier just because the physics are, we'll say, generous. And I actually like these random phrases that it says. So now it resets back where I have to start with the letter. Oh no, it keeps my Y. Good. So it remembers my progress, which is nice. I will point out on this one though that the playfield is all in Portuguese. So and that really is far more common with the Taito Brazil games than what we saw with which game did I point that out with? Come on. Trying to think about gameplay as well as anyway, so this is Vegas, not really Mata Hari. I think it actually is a better playing game, not just because the physics are easier here, but I like being forced to do the orbit to spell lady as opposed to just having the blanket AB to work all the time. There we go. To me, it feels like more of an accomplishment because you've got more shots to do. And when you start playing more tournament level pinball and you see people who exploit rules like Mata Hari's AB Advance, it's more entertaining to have people work harder for those advances. Come on. Hey, lady. I will get that L. Let's see if I can do a transfer. Oh, I was almost there. Let's try that again. Even closer, but still not there. Oh, backhand's not happening. There we go. And that A is actually pretty hard, because you got to get the ball up. And you notice that the pop bumpers are flashing now. Yeah, I know I'm not talking right now. I'm trying to get that letter A. Oh, not happening. There we go. Anyway, I showed you at least how that works. And that is a pretty neat looking variant for Mata Hari. And again, there's a J.P. Salas game, the original based on things. And we're up to the letter T. Yeah, but I have to go through the alphabet twice, so it's not just the once. So anyway, we're back to Steve Ritchie. 1980. I've talked about this game more than once in the past. I love the AI version of it. My buddy has one. I've seen this in a lot of collections. I would say this is one of my top 5 Steve Ritchie games. Now, talking about differences, the actual public release of this game had targets, not drop targets, just regular targets. There is a modification that some people do, because the original production design called for drop targets. And so yeah, there's modifications out there like this in real life. But it's important to note, oh yeah, and this is the first game with changing lanes. Ah, such a good game. Anyway, Firepower, 1980, Steve Ritchie, True Magic, by WED21. Good to hear it, Donkey Clonk. Good to have you here. But yeah, so Firepower, great game. And the recreation by WED21 with the drop targets makes me all sorts of happy. I love being able to play that drop target version. Again, virtual pinball. Gotta love having access to things you don't normally have. In Brazil, though, they got fire action. I am curious if they got the really cool mirrored trim around the back glass that we have here. That is one of the things that I know I was watching interviews with people who worked in the factory, and one of the guys who did the back glass artwork was talking, and the translation was, it was automatically generated subtitles in Portuguese run through auto translate. So the translation wasn't the best, but he was going on about the mirroring process and shortcuts he was taking to kind of accomplish it. So I would love to see some of these old back glasses they did. You hear that same Brazilian voice there, but I mean, look at that artwork. They didn't change anything. Now, I will point out that the rollovers at the top do change lanes, but now we're trying to turn them off rather than light them up. But other than that, it's good old firepower with Brazilian sounds. Why did I not kick back? Oh, I didn't finish. I gotta finish the outer two. So, if you're ever out and about and you happen across a fire action, drop a quarter, play a game. And this one I will point out again, the playfield is in English. I think when they do the exact copies, they tend to stick to English. But I will say, oh, did I tilt out? It tilted out. Oh, that's rude. No, game's just quitting on me. Anyway, I've shown you what I need to show. Fire action. Brazil. J.P. Salas, thank you. 1980. What do we have up next? So, I'm not going to show World Cup again. You guys have already seen it. It's a great game. Great Williams game. Edward Tomaszewski, 1978. But I will show a misattributed game. When I look at a lot of the lists, people see the name Volley and say that this is after the Gottlieb wedgehead game Volley, which it's not. It's actually World Cup soccer again. The slings are, I'll show you the slings again. Now, this is a few years after soccer. So Volley came out, and this is 1981. Or football, I guess is what they called it. That was rude. I was excited. Now, all original artwork. So with the original artwork, the game is all in Portuguese. Get that sling. There we go. And I think these sounds show that they've had more time to work with the soundboard and learn how to take advantage of it. And of the 3 games with this playfield, so the original World Cup, the football that was released originally from Taito with the design, and this one, I actually like this play the best. And I don't know if it's because of the physics difference or what it is, but... Oh, do I get the extra ball? I get the extra ball. Nice. Hi. Got the extra ball, though. Spells volley. So, there we go. Taito, Brazil. 1981. Made Volley, based on the Williams 1978 game World Cup. Cool. Next up. And then, again, this is where I'm going to point out they knew the good games. So when they were picking games to import, or not import, copy, they were picking the top games from the U.S. So, 8-Ball Deluxe here. This is a George Christian game, 1981. Anybody who's played pinball for any length of time has most likely gotten their hands on one of these. This is another iconic pool game. I know I've certainly encountered it in a number of tournaments over the years.
1 ball, 2 ball.
And it is fun just to sit and work through the balls. You advance the bonus. By the way, I've always sucked at this game.
5 ball, 3 ball,
I know lots of pinball players who
7 ball,
are awesome at it. I am not that guy.
4 ball. Shoot for 8 balls. Nice shot.
Yeah, I meant to do that. So, one thing I should fire up Bad Girls just to show you the mirrored version that Gottlieb made, but I'm not doing those today. So, 8-Ball Deluxe becomes Taito's 1980. So the same game is Sure Shot. The artwork is pretty much identical. They kept everything in English. Instead of OK, though, they changed the rollover, so the rollovers are all tied together. It was actually AB in 8-Ball Deluxe. Here they made it spell shot, so they tied the 2 rollovers at the top in with rollovers at the bottom, which is a definite gameplay change. And this is where I miss Wax's physics. This is definitely J.P. Salas is known to have Super Ball physics, and when people complain about virtual pinball physics, this is the kind of thing they're complaining about. Because this is not realistic. I mean, looks like I've got full power slingshots with Super Balls, just high speed through the game. But, I mean, where else you can get to see a Sure Shot? Right? So I'll take the availability with the goofy graphics or goofy physics just to be able to see and learn about the game. So again, here another J.P. Salas, 1981, and this is an update he released earlier this year in May. So awesome! I'm keeping a pretty good pace today. Hope people don't mind me. If there's anything you want me to go back and check, I'm happy to do so. But I'm just having a good time. This is unmistakable. Back to Steve Ritchie, 1980, Black Knight. I mean, you want to talk the iconic Steve Ritchie games. Firepower. He didn't do Gorgar. Gorgar was Oh, come on. Got my notes. Yeah, Gorgar was Barry Oursler. But these games that called out to players. I mean, listen to that. Oh, so good. And then the upper and lower level. The way this game was split like that. And just locking the balls. And say, I'm just going to get myself a quick multi-ball happening here. So 3 balls locked. You get a nice easy multi-ball start. Finish a bank. That lasted about as long as it usually does. But I'm already locked again. I'm going on another round. Oh, look at me go. I didn't deserve that one locked. And there's the multi-ball again. So, and this is one of those games where you just, if you can, keep going multi-ball after multi-ball. And, oh, I should... Let's see if I can get a ball up there. Oh, missed it. I wasted my Magna save. Not cool. I thought I was going to save it. I want to show off the Magna save in action. So hard to get those. Let's see. There we go. There. So I got a Magna save lit again. At this point, my goal is just to catch the ball with the Magna save. So it goes out the other side. Ah. Okay, you know, I'm gonna stop it there. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna make myself go back and do this. So this was a build by Board. Board's builds are some of the finest. He doesn't have the volume. You notice that the script, he got help from J.P. Salas, who again is an absolute machine in the virtual pinball community. But there's advanced scripts from Scoticus, new fade techniques from Flupper. You know, it's the community, and Board definitely has contributed over the years, and I'm glad to be able to play his Black Knight. Now, in Brazil, they didn't call it Black Knight. They actually did a full Portuguese conversion and called it Cavaleiro and Negro. So we have a full Portuguese title. And you'll notice that on the play field, it's not English this time. It is Portuguese. And I'm going to show you one of the biggest differences. I mean, obviously, that voice is not Steve Ritchie's booming Black Knight Will Play You. So it lights up like it knows I had one ball going there. There's another light. So, but it's not feeding another ball for third ball lock. I got my Magna save lit. So there is my multi-ball lock. Or it should be the multi-ball lock. So from what I can tell, having played this a bit, it doesn't have the multi-ball, which in Black Knight is one of the key things that you try to work on. I mean, you still have your MagnaSave, you still have the multiple levels, but it looks like in this case, you're working with a bonus multiplier that stacks up. So there's one. There's two. Let me get three. There's the third one. Ha-ha! I got it to work. And that's why you always have a MagnaSave button on your cabinets. Okay. Cavaleiro Negro. Awesome. And again, look up at the top. And this is another JP Salas. Lots of thanks here. He's got this Desk Truck is another contributor in the forums. Tio Talo for using the images. Just lots and lots of work on this over time. And I'm grateful for getting to play it. So what do we have next? So anyway, that is the first 35 games. I'm like halfway done with the list now. So I'm in for the long haul. So this is interesting. I'm starting this time with the Taito game. I'm going to show you why in just a few minutes. So you're going to look at this artwork and you're going to say, Snake Machine? Wow, that looks just like Viper. Well, let's play it a little bit. Let's figure out where these shots are. So the ball goes up there, and there's 3 targets. Okay, so 3 drops. It's kind of interesting because there's like 3 drop targets. Here's a row of targets. This is weird. Oh, that was a weak plunge. So these targets here are kind of neat. They drop and then shoot over towards a bank of drops at the left. Let's see if I can take advantage of that scoop. I can do this. Or maybe I can't. Oh man, I can't hit that scoop through the middle. And what's the point of that flipper way up top? I mean, why would somebody put a flipper way up there? There we go. Okay, I think I've played it enough to... I really just want to hit that scoop once and show you how it hits the drops. I mean, that's the party trick, right? Yeah. Okay, so here's our thank yous. Another JP Salas. Pretty much all of the Taito games are from JP Salas. I don't know anybody else who has done those. So that artwork absolutely looked like Stern's Viper. So let's fire up Stern's Viper and see see the gameplay here. So, artwork on the back looks the same. But that playfield has nothing in common with the game we just played. Sounds aren't similar. And what's that rotating cannon thing? So yeah, and there's no upper flippers. There's no drop targets. The only thing similar is the sexy Soriyama-esque lady with the snake. Which, you know, I mean, I can see why they would want to copy that. But, so, look, this is another J.P. Salas game. Stern, 1981. Let's get out. So if it's not Viper, what do we think that is? Let's take a look. There's the movie with Nicolas Cage where he goes into the Five Nights at Freddy's, and what he plays is a modified Devil's Dare, and that's what this playfield layout is. And it's not even 100%. You can see some, you know, so there is that little upper flipper up there. Oh, I'm going to apologize because right now I've got a no sound ROM in here because I also play this same game with the Willy's Wonderland, which is that Nicolas Cage movie I mentioned. Now, I'm going to point out it's not straight up the same as Viper. For one thing, I can make that shot. The other thing, this has 5 drop targets up front, whereas Snake Machine only has 3, and Snake Machine uses those 3 to actually cover up the that scoop. So I think Snake Machine's a better game than this. It's a little crowded, but especially in that top area where that flipper is. But the lower half of the playfield is more fun to play for me. So yeah, Devil's Dare. Oh, did I make a... There it is. Haha. Okay. And this is interesting. So the quit screen, there's no notes. I don't know who made this particular build. I could probably go. Let's take a look in the script. Did they give any sort of clue who did this? Yeah, look at there's usually up here in the script you'll see people, you know, signing their name or, you know, giving more thanks and stuff, but there's nothing. No indication at all. Interesting. But that's Devil's Dare. Oh, what do we have on deck next? Much excite. Ah, yes. Honestly, I think this is one of the weakest games of the bunch. It's still not a bad game. This is Defender, 1982 by Barry Oursler. I think this is this our first Oursler game? Yes, it is. Actually, this is the only Barry Oursler game. So, Williams obviously had the license for Defender, and they had all these great sounds. I forget what the original theme was supposed to be for this, but I believe management said, yeah, you're going to make Defender the game. And so they kind of just attached the theme to another project they've been working on. What's interesting is these pop-up targets in the middle of the playfield. I'm trying to remember what I have to do to get them to pop up. I probably have to not suck at pinball. In which case we may be out of luck. Ah! I even had a Kirk post. Did not use it. But just quickly looking over this playfield layout, we've got some drop targets on the left, drop targets on the right, scoop to capture to lock balls, upper flipper, 2 pop bumpers, and these cool little pop-ups mid playfield. So, and this one is by Takut. So Takut is the person who recreated this. It looks like there was an older version from Visual Pinball 9 by GTX Joe, who is another contributor to the community, who built this on VP 9 and then was updated to 10. But yeah, anyway, lots of people working together so that I can play pinball, which I thank everyone. Do I say that often enough? Too much? So they totally rethemed this, and I went looking for what. So Mr. Black is kind of like a generic Grim Reaper character. I couldn't find any sort of movie or anything that is tied into. The artwork is kind of intense, really. I don't see the pop-ups in the playfield, so they took out the mid playfield targets, which I don't blame them. Those seem like something that would break a lot. I will say I miss the Defender sounds, and this artwork is not really a style that appeals to me. I wonder if it's related to some other pop culture reference that, you know, maybe means more to people in Brazil. This plays very nice. There we go. And as with any of the other fully rethemed games, this one is all in Portuguese. That shouldn't really be a surprise. But yeah, I asked my buddy Marco about the Mr. Black. He's like, yeah, it's like the Grim Reaper. But he wasn't aware of anything. I will also say he's not a amazing pop culture reference person. So, I don't know. Could be something he doesn't know. Oh, he gets all 3 locked. Dun 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 dun. Oh, that was like too smooth for me. Oh, good thing I had 3 balls, right? Let's see if I can do that again. Like, okay, Joe, we get it. It's a weird art version of Defender. Show us the next game. Oh, so I'm having a good game with this. it's easier for me to jump to a different game if I'm having a cruddy game or something, right? Okay. And done. Okay. So anyway, that ball 1 is better than a lot of games I've played of this, setting things up. But yeah, Mr. Black. And again, we pause, we look. JP Salas again with additional thanks. He says the playfield is very similar to Defender. And so he even acknowledges the similarity there. Oh, where do we go next? ZF. Williams, 1980, another Edward Tomaszewski game. Alien Poker. And so this game always stands out in my mind because you really have to work your targets in order. You can do the kings up top in any order you want, the aces in any order. But when it comes to the play cards, you absolutely have to do the 10, jack, queen, king, ace. And you got that Williams 80s sound going on. Oh, I love this sound. So I hit 2 targets, but they pop right back up again because it's not the 10. Got to get the 10. You got to watch out for those scissors too. Ah. See if I can get that 10. There's my 10. My ace. Jack. Come on, queen. Yeah. Oh, I hit it. I absolutely hit that king. So I have Alien Poker. And our big thanks here. So this is another board table. His games are just, they play smooth. They've got really nice lighting. And you can see here, he thanks other people as well. So R. Garrett for table resources, One Vox for plastics, Uncle Polly, and the people who tested. So again, reinforcing this is a community developed environment. And I believe that one is a wax set of physics as well. So here is the Taito version of Alien Poker, Lunel, and I wish the translation was better for this because the guy who did the artwork on the back glass went on at length about this particular back glass. But you notice we still have our dual flippers, but now there's a cage behind there that can help block it, hopefully reduce the scissor loss. And as you expect with the rewrite and the new artwork, everything is in Portuguese now. Come on, don't freeze up on me. Okay. So check this out. Now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 instead of the cards. And I hit the 1 earlier in the first ball. my reflexes are saying, do them in order. And I'm like, no, you don't have to do them in order. This is not Alien Poker. This is Lunel. And it's having a hard time. Okay, so I'm going to hit the 2. Or the 1. So you notice it doesn't matter what the order is here. Why did I think I had another flipper up there? Oh, this one's struggling. I wonder if my system's struggling. No, it seems like it's going. It's like, look at those arrows. That's pretty sweet. Even the back glass wants me to plunge. Huh. So now it's just the 1 that's up. And then the 1 and the 2. And robot ladies fighting. Okay. So, anyway, here's another J.P. Salas game. 1982. Tio Italio. Just big shout outs to everybody. And we move onward to Vector. I like Vector. So Vector's got some neat stuff going on. This is a Greg Kamick game that was released with Bally in 1982. So we're like most of the way through the time period. I'll point out that Taito Brasil only made pinball machines like this between 1977 and 1984. So we're into the last 3 years here now. So neat plunge. The plunge will take you up top. You got a little flipper. So it's a 2-level play field. You get some neat. These drop targets are the defenders. You got a bounce that you can save the ball, and I've definitely done that. Some neat outlane stuff in general happening with this. You notice there's a second row of targets here. Ah. Let's see. Let's spell hype. I want that Y. Okay, now let's get. Why do I work the targets in the middle? So yeah, Vector's definitely a unique game. The playfield has a number of features. It's got, and there's a handful that have multiple layers like this, but to add those in with the 2 rows of defenders, and then that little play field with the and then these weird outlanes. So a lot of unique design features in this.
Y, C, C. Y.
So you're sitting there, you're wondering, it's like, okay, Joe, so you're playing Vector. It's 1982. You know, Bally's made this fantastic experience that was known to break all the time. At least whenever I was around, this game was broken more often than not, sadly, because it is fun. And again, that's something I like about virtual pinball, is it doesn't wear out. You get it working, it's going to work.
Weak shot. Macro power.
There we go. Oh, he gets the save.
Why?
Okay, so there's Vector. So, what... Okay, so this is Sinbad and 32 Assassin. And I believe 32 Assassin actually passed away just last year. So, he was another one of those people that contributed a ton to the gaming community. He did a lot with EM games as well. But if you're looking at the screen, you already know. Speed test. What is speed test? Well, of course, Brazil likes their race cars. So instead of the abstract sci-fi theme of Vector, they went for a Formula One theme. And they radically changed the playfield design. So we're still back to Brazilian soundboards, which have not advanced that much. You do have a playfield, but instead of it being an elevated playfield like we had with Vector, it's just a flat, smaller play area with flippers and drop targets. And we've done away with the left flipper. Still have one row of defenders, but only one row. So this is really like a simplified version of Vector. See, and that same river coming down that we had with Vector is still there. I will say this is still pinball, and I still enjoy playing it. But this feels like a game many years older than Vector. It's like they took a couple of the design elements and I would have liked to have seen, I don't know, a bit more. I don't know if they're cutting corners or if there's some financial troubles or they're just in a hurry to get a game out. Oh, there's little saucers back there it could have caught in. So yeah, that is Speed Test, which again is a JP Salas game, as all of these Brazilian games are. It is cool. I agree. Good to see you, Wax. So any guesses what's next? Let's see what we've got. So, should I even put up the... There it is. Xenon. Yeah, and this is actually a nice reproduction of Xenon here.
Enter Xenon.
So Xenon, another Greg Kmiec game. Same guy who brought us Vector, also brought out Xenon. And this is the same year. Actually, no, I take it back. This is 1980. This is 2 years older than Vector. So Vector was his answer to his success with Xenon. And I see a lot of Xenon out there. This is another one of those iconic games. The back glass has these really cool mirrors at the four corners that obviously a screen is not going to be able to do. But this transporter tube, the tube entrance... Ooh, yeah, and Wax, I'm pretty sure this is your rebuild of the game too, because it is unforgiving. Let's see if I can make the tube shot. Nope, not that way. But yeah, I can remember Pinball Pete's had the volume turned way up on this game.
Enter Xenon.
So let's just do a quick once over on this. So we've got a saucer at the top, 4 rollover buttons. You're spelling xenon twice. You've got the red xenon and the blue xenon down at the bottom. And that's the big party trick, that tube right there. I actually imagine that was probably challenging to code. Knowing how this game handles 3D space. Okay, so this is Xenon. We've all seen Xenon. So what do they do with Xenon in Brazil? I don't know. Let's find out. So first off, the name's changed. It's Zarza. And I don't understand the reasoning behind the change of the back glass layout. Before, it was really centered. So, you've got right in the middle is Xenon's face. Now they've moved it off to the side and made the scores more prominent, which is an interesting choice. And then looking down to the playfield, they've respelled everything, although it's English. So this is a respell. So all new artwork, but they've kept everything in English, which is interesting. And then they also added these lights along the tube. And they changed the type of buttons for the rollovers. So there we go. So here, I'm trying to turn off each one of those 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, come on, that's rude. So you can see here, the buttons light up at the top, and rather than advancing the value of the saucer, actually, is there even yeah, there's a saucer in there. So all of these, so there's definite gameplay differences. But the core artwork and playfield layout is still the same. And I have absolutely played ratted out copies of this game in the arcades where you cannot make that ramp shot. Don't care how good you are. There is a point where the flipper linkages just quit. Of course, I'm not always that good, so. But listen to the difference in the sound here. That distinctive ooh, ah is gone. And instead we're left with more generic space noises. So this is one of those ones where with a lot of these games I could make a case for why I would want the Brazilian version instead of the North American version. This is not one of those cases. I feel this is a pale second place compared to the original Xenon. Come on. And it's not just because I can't make the ramp. Yeah, and Wax has made an excellent point that the ramps are supposed to be hard shots. They're not. It's not something you can just sit and farm over and over again. There was a definite skill involved with making the shots. But I will go on to say, when you've got games like Taxi, which came along, there's my ramp shot. Yeah, and there's absolutely been different physics through the ages. Not, I shouldn't say physics, gameplay design. I think that's a more appropriate way to reference it. So the games have been designed differently over the years. Again, it's another JP Salas. It's Brazilian. Pretty much, if it's a Brazilian game, we know we're going to see JP's name there. Oh, what do we have next? Galaxy. So most recently, my memory for Galaxy. I was in a classics tournament. Very first game of the day was Galaxy. And my first opponent of the day was Adam Becker. He's not as a household name like Keith Elwin or Escher, Letkoff, but he's up there and competes well against those guys. And what made me particularly happy is I beat him for my first game of the day. Just from that one round, I was very happy. So Galaxy, Stern. This is actually a game from 1977. So we're going back in time a little bit. Now you notice I'm working to light up the word Galaxy. And as I light the letters up, it advances the value of the scoop up at the back left. Now I cannot move the letters that are lit. They are fixed. So if I want that X, I have to get that one lane. If I want the A, I have to get the ball up. Oh, I should have got the A. Almost there. But solid state, it's going to keep track of my scores. And I'm pointing all this out for a reason. So it's good to know the basic mechanics of the game. You can see the spinners in the middle, 2 pop bumpers. That saucer is... there's my X. I want to get that A so I can finish spelling Galaxy. But right now, I just want to spam that scoop because this is worth a ton of points with all but one letter done. So my left flipper shot is to try to get that A. I was almost there. And my right flipper shot is the scoop. And this is how if you want to do well in this game, that's your basic pattern. You want to light your letters, shoot the scoop, advance the game. And if you get the spinner lit, just sit and spam the spinner. A couple good rips of that will build up some points fast. So this is Galaxy, 1977. Stern. Why did they say 1980 when I looked it up? Internet Pinball Database says 1977. Board says 1980. Honestly, I think it's probably more likely 1980 given the electronics. I should add that this playfield is designed by Harry Williams. The same Williams from Williams Pinball. So it's kind of neat to see Harry did a number of games for Stern because everybody got along good in Chicago back then. So that's kind of cool. Okay, so let's get out of there. And then next up is Cosmic. Now, Cosmic is cool because Well, for one thing, it's basically Galaxy. Now let's take a look at where our differences are. Our lanes at the bottom are very, very similar, but not exactly the same. They've done away with the rubber posts and instead made the lanes a little easier to hit the I and the C. The same where it said Galaxy, that A that I was having a hard time hitting is now a rollover, a whole lane rather than just a star. Another interesting thing to look at is the numbers in the scoop up on the left are now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and they're not tied to cosmic, obviously, from the looks of things. Now, let's fire this up and I can talk and play at the same time. The other thing is, even though this is a name change and the artwork is a definite tribute, they kept the style and most of the lines are the same. The game is in English. And I can change the lanes to spell cosmic. So, look at that. I've got 3, but you'll notice none of the lights in the scoop are lit yet. So they've made it easier to complete cosmic, but it builds up your scoop less quickly. Did not give it to me. Oh, I had it in the right lane to start with. There we go. So now I've spelled cosmic once. And you can see I have the number 1. So the score will not build as high. I think I actually prefer this because it makes it a little easier, more likely that you're going to finish it. But not pump up the scores too much more because you have to complete it more times. It's funny to talk about Galaxy because I know there's actually an alternate ROM out there that somebody has made that takes advantage of more advanced systems for scoring. If I remember right, the original Galaxy only had 8K of RAM for all the code. But anyway, that's Cosmic. And again, look, JP Salas' name. Of course, it's an Italian game. Carlos Guizo again for the source images. And some help from Achilles 5000 for playfield redraw. But yeah. And that was, according to everything I've read, the most successful game for Taito Brazil. So they sold a bunch of them. So, Shark is actually Flight 2000. Now, Flight 2000 is a Stern wide-body game. And this particular rebuild is... looks like they've tackled it with LEDs. But, you got 5 targets here. And you kind of want to hit them in order, starting with the number 5. I get the bonus multiplier. No lane changes. What year was this? Oh, and by the way, I should add, this is another Harry Williams game made for Stern. So it's kind of cool to have these two games back to back. And he was an innovative designer. I didn't even get up to the habit trail. I realized that's my whole game. So again, looking at things, we got a 4-lane rollover where you can't change the lanes. You've got the ball lock habit trail here on the left. You've got 5 targets. You've got a center scoop to advance things. You got a spinner, 3 targets there, double lanes. Let's see what our friends in Brazil did with it. That's right, I keep saying friends in Brazil, and really it's Abba Kogan. He was the driving force behind this business. And you're probably saying, Joe, how can you say this is the same thing? Well, this is probably the most unique of all the playfield designs that they did. And about the best I can say is it's inspired by. So you see you've got, instead of 5 drop targets, you got 3. This is a regular body instead of a wide body. So there's much less real estate. There's the little habit trail that we had in Flight 2000. And then instead of a spinner, we've got an orbit there, and we've also got the 3 drops to hit for the 5,000 point bonus. Now, again, there's no lane change going on up there. So if you're going to get your rollovers, you're going to have to get the rollovers. But I think the drops are really where you want to be. There we go. And then, just to stay consistent, this time the artwork's all in Portuguese. Ah, hate that. So this is probably the furthest away from the source game with the most original touches of any of the games I've played today. Even the theme isn't like a direct ripoff of anything. Oh, is this one of your builds here? This game. Honestly, I don't like these sounds. And the sounds alone are big enough to keep me going. That, and when the ball kicks out and comes around the orbit, too often it just feeds right between the flippers. I almost want there to be a kicker or a bumper, something to knock it off of the trajectory. Yeah, not one of the... I would say that's probably my least favorite of all the Taito Brazil games. So what do we have? Oh, look at this. I should have done it in the other order. So we're gonna take a break. We're gonna jump over to one of my personal favorites, Centaur. Again, I think of this as just another iconic Bally game. How far down the list did I make it right now? Okay, there we are. So yeah, so this is a Jim Patla design. And this is just a really cool... I mean, the artwork alone. The artwork is good. The sound is spot on. Some of the rules that this has are challenging. It's one of those games that the more you learn, the more you work it. Like... And those saves on the sides. If the machine's set up right, you can keep going for a long time. Or if it's set up right, they can drain in the blink of an eye. So the secret here is to work orbs in order. So you start with the left, and then if you get all 4 of them in order, then you start your multi-ball. Otherwise, you just advance the orbs if you don't get them in order. Which adds to more captive balls, which isn't a bad thing. But, I mean, I can't think of any other game that looks like this, or sounds like this, or... this is one of a kind. And... I'd like to release the power orbs, but I hit the B already. So now I'm just gonna. So when I hit the R, there we go, and there's the S. Okay, so O, R. Come on, we can do this. B. So I just gotta get the S now. There we go. Okay, let's see if I can hit this alley up the right. Just, I mean, the way the magnet holds it there, they didn't have to have a magnet there. They could have done that any number of ways. Such a good game. And this is really I think the balls are a little lightweight. They feels like they're lacking a bit of mass, but it is gorgeous, and I like how it plays. So now this is fun. So I'm going to jump up to the next game. ZQ. Where are we at here? So check that out. Gemini 2000. That's the name of the game. And if we look at it at a glance, this is Flight 2000. It looks like, is that a captive ball lane? And it's like, wait a second. No, that's not Flight 2000. This is... Oh, yeah. And it's got an auto launcher as well. So my plunger doesn't even work on it. I have to push the button. But instead of spelling out orbs... So I look at this, and this is very clearly the same layout. Yeah. Sorry, this is the exact same layout as... well, I shouldn't say the exact same. A very similar layout to Centaur. And we got our scoop here with the captive ball. we're trying to advance the 4 ball locks. We've got lane changing up top. Taito only had they only did standard bodies. They didn't want to have to rejig anything. They did all their own silk screening in house. They built all the metal parts. I mean, the boards came from in house. Like beginning to end, Taito produced everything in their machines. So I mean it's kind of amazing. All of that came around because of the Capre laws. So the gameplay is here. I mean, it's not a horrible game, but when you hold it up next to the complete package that you get with Centaur, oh, I just missed it. It just feels weak in comparison. You know, if I'd never seen Centaur and just got to play this right out of the box, I would be thrilled. I think, oh yeah, this is good. Yeah, and I launched the multi-ball, and that's why this had the auto kicker. Ha! Of course, I did nothing with it. So it stays as a novelty. It's kind of cool. And again, thanks to JP's House for even making it available. But we got more games to check out. Let's see what's next. Ooh, I'm so excited. Next up. Yeah, that auto kicker was high-tech stuff back then. One of the most trippy back glasses of all times. There's some neat stuff going on here with Baracora. The sound is goofy on this one. I don't know why. This one should have been something that has good sound to it. But neat rules on this, similar to what we just saw with Centaur, is so this is something that was Roger Sharp worked on this with Steve Epstein, and then Barry Oursler took their work and finished it up. So this is like a community project game. And the artwork is absolutely one of a kind. But there's a couple gameplay things that make it stand out. One of them is that you have to finish these drop targets in order. You've noticed I probably hit the double R. And the double R picks up, or pop back up. The B stayed down because that's the first letter there. And the A is still down because I've managed to hit that on the right-hand side. You'll notice that I can change the lit lane up top. And I have been changing it. So as I'm changing the lit lane, though, I finished it once already, and I only got 1, 2, 3. I did not get the 6. To get the second row, I have to make sure it goes over a lit number above it. So if I want to finish, so I finish the top row again. I finished the top row like 3 times now. My reflexes just want to make it, so I roll over the unlit lane. There's my C. I try to imagine like Alpha Target if I had to do them all in order. That would be a totally different game. Oh, come on. That should hit it. Actually having a pretty good game of this. So I know 2 different people who have this game here in town. So I actually get to play it a fair amount in person. There we go. And you saw how it lit up the spinner briefly, and it also lights up the ball lock when I finish the drops. So that's what I was going for. So now, let's see, and this is a DIDS 666 game. I don't know that name at all. I wonder if that's what the sound... No, the sound would be a ROM issue. So let's see what the Brazilians did with this. And I actually really like this theme. I like this giant robot. So 1982. I would love to get a higher res version of this back glass. There's just something about that retro sci-fi look that I love. But you notice we still have the 2 lanes of lights, but they're not clearly numbered. They're just lights. And now I can hit the drop targets in whatever order I want. And he's talking to me. And I'll also point out that there was a ball lock in Baracora for multi-ball. This game does not have the ball lock or multi-ball. Although, here's another one of those oddities. This game, all new artwork, they kept it in English. I don't get it. Oh, that's cool. So, I just figured out the targets feeding up. So those targets in the center are timed. So I want to see if I can hit them at the top. Because, I mean, just hitting them for 1,000 is... No, why bother? But if I can get that 10,000 shot... Come on, I can do this. Oh. And that's why you don't shoot the shots in the middle. So, anyway, instead of Baracora, we have Titan. And the rules are sufficiently different, and the artwork is different. It feels like an entirely different game, even though it's very, very similar. I do know that the scoop is there, but I don't think it has a multi-ball. I don't think... I should play it and see if I can get a multi-ball. But I'm impatient. I'm moving forward. So next up is going to be Vortex, better known as Blackout. So this is a Claude Fernandez game. Bally 1980. I don't have any stories about this one. Actually, I take that back. I have one kind of boring story. No, I take it. No, no stories. I got this confused with Sorcerer for a minute. So yeah, I don't know this game too well. So let's take a look at what we've got. So 3 drops there. There's a scoop, the saucer off to the right. Got 3 rollover lanes with the lane change. Oh, did it give me a bozo ball? It did. How nice. Oh, come on, one more up there. Ah. Was that the whole game already? Oh, man, that was rough. Let's see if Vortex is any kinder. So again, total retheme here. Same drop targets, same scoop. I don't remember. Was there 2 spinners? Hold on a second. I don't want to go back. Sorry. Keep that up. Okay, so this is interesting. So looking at the right side of the playfield, there's a spinner there. I'm just not that attentive. I also don't know Blackout that well. So, going back here to Vortex. So good. So there's a spinner. These spinners are a lot easier to spot and see. Got a saucer. Total retheme. This time, all in Portuguese. That's kind of fun. Better action on the plunge. That's coding more than the game. Okay. Oh, I like how this plays. This is nice. Now, I don't know the rules of Blackout well enough to know. I mean, we got lane change, which is the same. The 3 targets here, 3 targets. So the layout's the same. And the function of everything feels the same. And I actually like this sound. And the art. This is... Actually, given my choice between this and Blackout, I kind of want this. Get my Valkyrie Warriors wearing their 70s fantasy, actually 80s fantasy armor at this point. I want to go smack that spinner some more. Or not. This is actually another. I'm talking about the interviews that they had with the guy who did the back glasses. And he went on at length about this one. He was actually really proud of this. And again, it's one of those cases where I wish I actually spoke Portuguese rather than relied on Google's auto-translate. I should talk to my buddy Marco about that one. But I don't want to, I mean, it's like 20 minutes about talking just this back glass. So, I will point out, we are now into 1983. This is the final year that Taito Brasil was releasing games. Kogan actually died on a trip to the U.S., and basically the company fell apart without him. Kind of sad. So, when you talk about a company being an extension of the present, did I really just start that again? I did. I said, "Do you like this?" I'm like, "Yeah, I did like it, but we're doing the next game." So next up on the list, we're going way back in time. 1974. This is a Gottlieb Wedgehead by Ed Krynski. I really... anybody who knows me knows I like drop targets. This has got drop targets. The secret is to do the rollovers first. So you light your drop targets. So you try to ignore the drops for now, because you'd rather shoot at them when they're worth points. So I'm trying to get the ball back up top. To light... Oh, wait, but I do want that 6 while it's lit. There. That's some big points. Okay, back up to the top again. And Wax, I know for a fact that this is one that you've done, because this plays just like a Gottlieb Wedgehead. The flippers are perfect. Hey, we got a hedgehog. Nice. Welcome to the chat. Oh, and I've got the 5 lit. There's some points for me. Look at that. Good. So at this point, I've got most of my numbers lit. I can live without the 7. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to finish it off. I said I'm going to finish it off. There's my 2. Ah! Wow, ball 2, and I'm already... So, this feels awesome. There we go. So now I've reset it. Now I want to hit the 5, take advantage of that. Oh, not the 6. Let's go for the 5. Hit it. It'll... There we go. Now let's advance the lit lane. Oh, do I get the 7? Nope, no luck. I will hit it, though, because it's worth... Oh. So now I want to hit the 2. Ha! I have played tournament games of this where I've done 30,000 points in a whole game and not come in last. Okay, time to finish off the targets. So I can start them up again. Do the one first. Maybe. There's my 1, and then the 7. We'll reset it. Then I can go for the 4. If I'm not mistaken, the Hedgehog's favorite game is Ice Cold Beer, which is another Taito game. But that one's actually by Taito of Japan rather than Taito Brazil. And I also believe they're finally remaking licensed copies of it, because it is an arcade classic. Come on. Oh, so close. I looked up and I saw, I'm like, oh, I'm only 2,000 points away from 100 from rolling it. And rolling it on this game is actually a pretty big deal. There we go. And it says, hey, enter your... I'm going to enter that one. That one's... There we go. So, you're like, Joe, why are you showing us Sky Jump? This is a 1974 electromechanical one-player game. It's got 1 through 7. It's got drop targets. So, if Taito is in their glory days, what are they going to do? And I'm like, I'm glad you asked. Oh, wait, I'm behind on my slides. They're making Gork. Sticking with that fantasy warrior woman theme. We've got Gork. Let's see how these rules work. So again, we got 1 through 7 numbered. Oh, and the Star Wars theme, how cute. Oh, a captive ball up there. That's new. So there is no 10 times multiplier moving up. Now I still do want to get the ball up top. So that I can get some of those rollovers. Ah, it does not want to get in there. Hey, I got my first number lit. Oh, I can move the lit numbers. Okay, so I can move the rollovers at the top. Left flipper moves those. Okay, the 6 is lit now. Let's hit that 6. Did nothing. Let's see if I can hit the 5. Let's see if that does anything for me. First Denisi lock. I don't see why this. I guess just because they weren't playing by the rules doesn't mean that we don't have to. So really, there's a Denisi lock here. Now, I think of the Denisi lock as being something you shoot past, and then the drop target comes up and blocks it in. So does this game actually have a multi-ball then? So it's got extra ball, special, bonus is special, and tempo extra. That's the rollovers. Okay, now you've got me thinking there's a multi-ball. As far as I know, the only actual multi-ball of the Brazilian games was the Gemini 2000, which had the auto launcher. Ah, okay, I get it. Ah. So it's funny to think of these guys having a patent after so blatantly ripping off everybody else's designs. Say, hey, we have an idea of our own that's really cool. Yeah, because this doesn't actually have a multi-ball. But I see how it does hold. Was that ball hold not copied from something else? Because I know it wasn't in Sky Jump. But it's still a fun game. Extra ball. Don't mind if I do. Okay. So anyway, that is Gork taking us in further into 1983, the final year of Taito. Did I just launch the game twice? Ah, here we go. So, after the success of Firepower, it was Firepower 2. And this is designed by Steve Ritchie's brother, Mark. And I hate to say it, it's not as good a game. There's a reason. I mean, I will point out, the first thing right off the top, there's no lane change at the top. I mean, that was literally one of the first features, or this was the first game to have lane changing rollovers at the top. So why would you take that out in the sequel? I mean, that's doesn't make any sense to me. But you still have your 3 targets, so you got 3 there. And then instead of having the blue orbs off to the right, you've got WE. So this whole game just feels like it was rushed. It doesn't feel like it was almost like they said, hey, Firepower was popular. Can you make something kind of like it and we'll just get it out the door? And I mean, they added that. That's new. I mean, instead of having a scoop, now you get this fun ramp to go across. But it feels like they took away more than they added. So let's see. So if they've got Firepower 2 coming out of Williams, let's see. Fire Action Deluxe. Did they do anything interesting in Brazil to make it more fun? Let's see where this goes. Already it's got Star Wars music, so... Oh, and so there is no plunger. It is an auto plunge. And the lane changes are there, so already this is a better game. What amuses me here is that this has more of the artwork from the original Firepower. It's more like they said, yeah, we're just doing an upgrade to Firepower. You know, whereas Firepower 2 tried to be a sequel. Okay, what do I want to shoot first? Okay, so I finished that bank. Let's do the right bank. Nope, that's not the right bank. Okay, so I've got... I like Action 2. Oh, just get the W and the C now. Not happening. Glad it's a 5-ball game. Okay, let's see what we got here. There we go. So I finished those finally. So I gotta do the orbit now. Now the ramp. I haven't hit the ramp at all this game. Oh, I went a whole game without doing the ramp. That's not good. So, Fire Action Deluxe, I consider to be an improvement over Firepower 2. If for no other reason, then you've got lane changes. But, there you go. Okay. So what do we have next? ZZ. We are definitely near the end of the row. Fathom. Oh, love Fathom. Have played so much of this. So Fathom is Ward Pemberton. So 1981 game from Ward Pemberton. Oh, this is so dark, but I like it. except for I don't like how it goes out like that. So it's interesting. In the chat, Wax, your comment about Taito games storing game state if the power goes out was actually optional. There were situations where they wanted to lose the game state with the power. They wanted to be able to erase credits and just power down and clear the credits out, because these were used for gambling. But you're absolutely right. They did have the ability to be set so that they would retain their game state if the power went out. I don't know how to make that change in the ROMs here. I'd have to... Although I don't think the virtual pinball actually supports that feature. Maybe one of those only in the wild things. So let's take a look at the layout on this and the rules of what I'm working on. So I've got 3 pop bumpers. Love pop bumpers. It's fun just to dump a ball up into the trio like that. I have a flipper on the right, 3 drops in the middle, 5 drops on the left, a row of drops leading up to the cove. Get up there. And another row of 3 drops to get into the... There we go. So I managed to lock one as I was releasing the other. Very cool. So I can get my 3-ball multi-bug on here. One of the things I like with this game is coming out of the top row and down, there's this long wire that prevents the ball from going back up there. Oh, there's my game. But what a beautiful, beautiful game. And this one is another 32 Assassin with Uncle Willy and Vogliatican. Another great team effort. And that is a very very attractive rendition of Fathom. So, Taito said, okay, none of this underwater stuff. We like space fantasy. So they rethemed it as Hawkman. And just looking at the playfield layout, we got our 3 pop bumpers, we got the spinner, we've got the same progressive locks, we got the same drop targets, we got the same outlanes. So this appears to be the exact same game. And just because they're consistent, this time it's Portuguese on the playfield art. So we got lane change available. Woof! Wax, I would love your physics on this. This is hilarious. Oh, that's not good. I'm gonna have to play more than one to get the feel for things. Although I don't know that there's... Honestly, I don't see much gameplay difference from this and Fathom. Now, I can't keep the ball in play long enough to really... Okay. So I finished the sequence. $1,000-point spinner. I want to get that. Ah. Oh, it doesn't go out. Good, good. Okay. Brutal. Anyway, Hawkman is very clearly based on Fathom. There's no question on that one. And again, another J.P. Salas contribution to the community. So, I've got one more game. And for the first time today, I'm going to mention Zachariah, 1982 Pinball Champ. This was Zachariah's first multi-level game, and it's also the only game from Zachariah that Taito did a copy of.
Play gently to beat me.
So, play gently to beat me. So I like that having played these games in real life.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Once again for the special.
Hey, I did it once. Good. You get used to it pretty quickly, having the flippers floating above the playfield here. I mean, here I want to flip, but I can't because it's the wrong layer. When you're playing this particular game in person, it's a lot easier to spot.
Go for the high level board. 10 seconds.
Ooh, it's got 10 seconds. Now, if there's anything I've learned with Zachariah games, if they've got a second level,
High level board. 10 seconds.
if they've got a second layer,
Level board.
that's where all the points are. Man, that's fast.
Go for the high level board. 20 seconds.
Love to.
Go for the high level board. 30 seconds.
Ooh, I get a whole half minute if I can make the shot. Oh!
30 seconds.
No, I don't. My reflexes weren't enough to keep it in play.
Go for the high level board. 20 seconds. Go for the high level board. 20 seconds. Go for the high level board. 30 seconds. Quick, hit the special.
Quick hit the special.
Well done. You had 30 seconds. Once again for the special. 20 seconds. Once again for the special. 10 seconds. Shoot the special red. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Ah, I almost got it again. So, oh, special red. I see it.
Go for the special orange. Quick, hit the special. Quick, hit the special. Quick, hit the special. Red. Time is short. Go for the special red. Go for the high level board. 10 seconds. Quick, hit the special. Go for the high level.
Oh, man.
20 seconds. Quick, hit the special. Go for the special orange. Quick, hit the special. Go for the high level board. 20 seconds.
I did not get the special.
The special orange.
Special red was beyond my ability. Wow. That's probably the best ball I've ever had on that. Okay, so I'm going to say thank you to M. Fuegaman and 32 Assassin for this reproduction. And let us see the last of the Taito games. Polar Explorer. So it looks like the upper flippers are a little bit shorter. Scoop's a little wider there. Same two shots, but other than that, the layout looks identical. Let's see how it plays. Of course, I'm playing with two entirely different physics tunes, so of course the gameplay is going to be considerably different. But looking at the artwork, so totally new art theme, but it's in English this time. Oh, seriously? So I'm glad it's nice and consistent with the language of choice. That wave sound is so soothing. Okay, so obviously there's some rule difference because there was a timer on that ramp before, and in the Zaccaria game, finishing the 4 drop targets on the left would advance the timer. Here, the timer is just saying 1. I get up there. Out we go. There we go. Oh, it only gives me the ones. I don't know if I timed out or if that's because I finished it. It doesn't talk to me like the Zaccaria does. So this is interesting. There's some things I like better, and there's some things that I don't like as well. I miss having the game talk to me. I like having the call-outs that let me know what to shoot for, what kind of timers I have. You know, knowing that was available. But I also know that Taito Brazil was still restricted to the same boards they'd pretty much been using since they started in '77. So they only ever really had the one series of games. And believe it or not, they use the exact same boards for their video games too. So they made Zigzag, which was a ripoff of Dig Dug. And what else? They made Missile X, which was a blatant ripoff of Missile Command. But 1984, they pretty much shut down. You know, they finished producing what they had in line. And all the assets today are held by Kyocera. So, yeah. Anyway, it's a neat trip. Glad I was able to... virtual pinball has exposed me to these games that I don't believe I would have gotten to see any other way. I might have, heard about them in passing, but unless, I might have a good fortune to find one or two that get brought up from Brazil, but you got to be a pretty serious collector to hunt down an obscure reproduction like this from another continent. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap things up here with this game, and thanks to everybody who tuned in. I had a lot of fun. We won't talk about how many hours I spent preparing for this particular stream. Making sure I had the names and the play fields and the right layout. Even just little things like the graphics I've been doing. It's been a lot of fun to put together. And I hope you find this exposure and discussion entertaining. So, thanks for tuning in. And I do hope to stream more frequently. Probably not big mega episodes like this, but definitely more pinball, more talking, more hanging out. It's good to see you again. Take care.